John, please tell them to come and fix a mic on any of these cameras so that we can conduct interview. Fix microphone on any of these so we can conduct interview.
Where is the microphone you want to do live? Really, please, let me call the presenter to come inside. Yeah, Joseph Johnson.
Move this way. Move this way. Move this way. Keep moving.
Yes, that is way.
Yeah, move this way. Let him tell the microphone.
Stay like that.
Go a bit back. Go a bit back.
How does he tell the running? Audio check. Yes, sir. This is what you are testing here. Look at it. They know this is the one that is the audio. They know audio. It's not this camera. It's yeah, there's no audio here. This thing is straight to the van.
Sound check, sound check, sound check.
You know that most of countries in Africa are undeveloped countries. And talking about connectivity, that is the theme of this year conference. First ever conference organized in Africa about this subject is a major theme because it makes the link between our ports and our interlands. You know that the ports are the entrance of every trade, of all the trades in our countries. So it's through the ports that the products coming from inside the country go abroad, and it is the back way from imported products to get in. So there must be a link by all means from that point called ports and the interlands. So the goods must be able to move from the entrance to the bottom of each country. And even there are some countries without berth, without, inland countries with no port. So the link must also be done from the countries that have ports with the other country, linked through the road, through maybe the rail also. So the conference is about all those subjects, to try to know the means, the best means to improve those infrastructures.
Okay, so the conference is for 3 days. What are your expectations at the end of the conference? What are you looking forward to taking home?
Yeah, a conference like this is a gathering of many experiences. So it's like a platform. Many attenders coming from, if each one has his own experiences, and you have to exchange, to make the synergy and to learn from one from the others. That is the main expectation.
Thank you very much. Thank you for speaking with us.
Okay, thank you much.
Okay, I have someone else to speak to. Please, can you kindly introduce yourself?
I'm Charles Mukoko, Deputy General Manager of Douala Port Authority. And I saw that you had just spoken with the one of Kribi Port Authority,
yeah.
So also in Cameroon.
Okay. So let's just get your insight. Let's get an insight into this conference. What is your take for this conference as it is?
Okay, thank you for giving me the opportunity to say about what we intend to get from this kind of meetings. You know, this is the most important regroupment of all general managing directors and harbor masters to change the experiences, so that being with all the others, I think is very important for me and for all the country to see how the others have done, so that we can know how to escape from some difficulties. This is, Cameroon, Douala Port have to present a topic from infrastructures we are intend to do for the coming years, because we have another big port now in Kribi with a deep sea port, and Douala is port in a river. It had been alone for more than 80 years ago, so that now you have to share this particular ruling with Kribi. So the government has to see exactly what to do, what can go to Kribi, and how Douala will to conduct himself to continue to be competitive, attractive, and so on.
Thank you very much. Thank you for speaking with us. Okay.
Yes.
May we know you?
My name is James Nganga. I work for Trademark East Africa, an internationally funded aid for trade organization based in East Africa. I operate out of Nairobi.
Okay, so this conference for you, what are your expectations?
My expectations is that we will get out of this conference, which brings together maritime port experts from across Africa, common solutions to address one big bottleneck that we always have of the high transport costs of moving cargo from the respective ports to the target destinations in the respective hinterlands.
Okay, can you share with us your thoughts about how to tackle the menace, the challenges, of course, Africa is facing in efficiency in ports?
We have, as was mentioned in the conference, we have 39 African countries that have got ports. And one of the areas in which we can tackle the inefficiency and the high costs associated with movement of cargo is by addressing it from two areas. This is from providing adequate capacity as well as related productivity instruments to ensure that the capacity that we install at the respective African ports and corridors is optimized to the fullest extent. And this would entail various initiatives to reduce the time and the costs. And this could entail a partnership where you have a coastal state, one of the 39 states that are endowed with ports, partnering with the countries that are inland. And I think the president of this country did bring it out, the partnership, which I would want to single out, between Nigeria and Niger in developing a complete corridor that has the adequate infrastructure solutions.
Is this your first time in Nigeria?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so I'm hoping that you take out time to visit one of the ports that the country has.
Yes, I will do that.
Okay, Thank you for speaking with us. Okay. Okay, please, thank you for joining us.
Yes.
All right, so, and this is the Director General. Can we get to, oh, sorry, the manager, please. Just for the purposes of introduction, can you just...
Yes, my name is Hadiza Bala Usman, Managing Director, Nigerian Ports Authority.
Okay, so earlier on you spoke about a whole lot of issues, of course, bedeviling Africa's ports. Can you tell us what are the modus operandi you're looking forward to engaging in order to tackle this menace?
Yes, one of the key issues that we've observed across African port is the challenge with hinterland connectivity. The need for the ports to appreciate that in order to have an efficient port, you must deploy intermodal transportation system. And that has been across the board in the continent a big issue. So we felt the need to convey this conference so we can rub minds and see how we need to improve, what are the things that we need to do, what are the best practices as relates to connection in the hinterland. We understand and note that for us to have any efficient operations, hinterland connection is paramount. Just to give an example, in Nigeria, we have the huge congestion in Apapa and Tinkan Island. It's a function of inability to define an efficient connection between the port and the hinterland. That is what had enabled this huge congestion, and we feel that deploying rail connection, utilization of inland waterways, utilization of dry ports, these are the solutions to any form of congestion that we see in our ports, and indeed in our sister African ports. This is what obtains.
You are the Managing Director of Nigerian Ports Authority. Now, what does this conference, which is the first ever, what does it translate to for Nigeria being the host?
It shows that Nigeria is still a global leader. Nigeria is the African giant. Nigeria is leading the continent in defining areas of how we can address issues. We've been able to host this conference successfully together as port operators and define what is the best way for us to achieve and solve our problem of hinterland collection. Some of the issues we have as relates to transshipment in Nigeria, for example, is that we need to define a trade corridor between Nigeria, Niger, and Chad Republic. That trade corridor would have within it a rail route which clearly maps out that transshipment cargo will be captured by Nigeria. So some of the things that we lose in terms of trade for landlocked areas is what we're seeking to do in this conference. And it's also gladdening that Mr. President also has the same vision whereby he has insisted that all rail connection needs to be done to port locations. And the Minister of Transportation has been driving this vision by promoting rail connection across the country and indeed also to neighboring and landlocked countries.
Okay, I also understand that it's for 3 days. So the participants will be engaged in different presentations and all that. At the end of the day, what would you say are your expectations?
We would have a communique where it will define how countries should prioritize their hinterland connection. The communique will be submitted, in our case, to our Presidential Council of Ease of Doing Business. It will be submitted to the relevant agencies of government that provide hinterland connection. I am identifying the key solution areas and key policy reforms that the government needs to do to enable seamless connection with the hinterland.
There are times that usually at the end of the day, a communique is released and for some, it's just facts on paper. So what is it you're going to do differently to ensure...
I think the government of President Muhammadu Buhari has defined itself as a government that gets things done. So when you look at the rail projects that have been done, and rail project is key to interland connection. So I'll say already we are working towards that in itself. You already have seen the great strides that the Minister of Transportation is doing as relates to the rail connection. And in the same way, you see the utilization of inland waterways is also starting up. So yes, it's beyond a submission or communique that will be put in a drawer. Is a communique that for us in Nigeria, we're actually already implementing. Is more to do with having a synergy across the continent.
All right, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very much. Okay, so that has been it. We've spoken to some of the key stakeholders and, of course, administrators in the port industry. And so far, that has been it for now, but other activities continue right here as we continue to see participants engaging in different fora in order to bring out ways to tackle the menace, bedeviling the efficiency of Port Authority. Thank you.
Imagine a station where you access information. Think of a station that creates awareness for national development. Imagine a station that prepares you for a bright and greater future. A station for all ages. Documentaries, classroom and television, events coverage, children's programs and variety shows. Always stay tuned to NTA Knowledge on the StarTimes platform, channel 359. For partnership, sponsorship and advert placements, contact us on NTA Knowledge. NTA Knowledge, learning to broaden horizon.
Lights, camera, action. Pictures are created in accordance with the creative vision of the photographer. The ability of a photographer to express perceptions and emotions in order to convey an impression connotes the art of photography. Most photographic works show aesthetic qualities. Some create an illusion, while some abstract photos may paint a deeper meaning from the ordinary. All this depicts the creativity of this artistry. In the early decades of the 19th century, photography captured more detail and information than the traditional methods of replication, like painting and sculpture. Today, photography still remains a unique art form that demands creative thinking from the photographer. We all love taking pictures, but there's a whole lot that goes into making our pictures look flawless. In this artistry, every detail counts.
I'd usually like to start with one light and then improve my lighting style up to the point when I get the kind of picture I want to shoot. So I'll start with this. This is always called the main light, and I'm going to start the main light on camera right. Okay, fine. So the next thing I need to do now is to position her. I like you to sit down, look towards this light. You can put one foot up, one foot down, make yourself relax. Come to the edge of the stool. Good. Fine. Are you relaxed enough? All right, so just smile, and let's see how this goes. Fantastic. So with every shot I take, I begin to readjust my camera till I achieve.
In digital photography have opened a new direction in full-spectrum photography, where careful filtering choices across the ultraviolet lead to new artistic visions. This art entails careful staging and lighting of the picture.
I'm going to make it very simple, so I'm going to just add one more light, and then I'm done. This light I'm adding is called a hair light or a rim light. It allows the picture to have a form. And so I can see her in a beautiful place. Beautiful. You see the picture has changed again. You notice there's a rim light now that has created a form